Hi, I'm Lindsey Pikulinski. I'm going to continue on with a few more questions. Okay, what advice do you have for undergrads studying right now that intend on pursuing a degree in the medical field?
Okay, first I would say, just in general advice to undergraduates is that you do want to make this your job. If you're interested in a job in the medical field in the future, you want to realize your job right now is to do your best to get those good grades, because the science and health-related jobs are very much in demand. And so if you get to college like a lot of people do and kind of go through freedom overload and they don't put the time and energy into the studies, then they can kind of get behind and have a tough time catching up. So that's number one. I would make sure you spend the time getting the grades. That's pretty basic, I know, but very, very important. In doing that, I tell a lot of folks that, really do try to carve out that time for your studies and make it an 8-hour-a-day job, and then you can go and work out and do all the other good stuff, but you've got to spend time doing that. When you are interested in a medical profession, you really want to start getting exposed, even as a student, almost immediately, to patients, to hospitals, to clinics, whatever it is, therapists. I started by volunteering at Brackenridge on the neurology floor and in the emergency room. And that was very helpful for me because, first of all, I got a chance to talk to lots of providers, physicians, nurses, and they love talking to people who are interested. So if you go and volunteer and you ask questions, they'll tell you and let you do whatever you want. I was also an orderly for a while. I actually got paid to ask questions and also helped. They would let me scrub in on surgeries and things. But the reason I think that's important is not only because it makes you look more attractive when applying, but also because it helps you to decide what you like and don't like. And it gives you, when you're learning that biology framework, it gives you some real life experiences and some real patience to hang that on. So whenever you're learning, to use that previous example about the different kind of cells, this is boring, there's columnar, and this is what's in this, then if you have a patient experience to hang that on, then you're a lot more likely to remember that and it stays with you.
Right.
So volunteer, get involved. I think it's a great career to get into. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of dedication.
Right. And going back to the basics, what would you say would be like good ways for those students to memorize like all the different things that they're learning?
There's a ton. So acronyms become real helpful. Visualization, I think, for people is a super good way to remember things, because otherwise, if you just take a page and you try to learn and memorize the cranial nerves, but you don't visualize it or use it in some way that's helpful for you and helps you remember, then it's going to be tough to hang on to. Studying in groups, I also think, is really good. Quizzing each other, because different people will have different ways of approaching the same information. And there's also very, very important, as you girls have learned already, is to figure out what your professor thinks is the most important of all the, what we call in medicine is all the minutia, all the details. The human body, for instance, is, in my opinion, the most amazing machine ever built. It's only partially understood. We're learning more and more about it. But you can get really held up in the details, and it can be overwhelming at times. So you have to step back, hopefully draw on those patient experiences or those life experiences, step back and look at everything more so from a how does this all fit together? What does my professor think is important? Because whatever they think is important, they know probably has some benefit later on. Also, if you have the interesting, fun professors, like I'm sure yours certainly is, they'll also tie in, they'll help tie in the biology that you're learning to those real life experiences or how it's used to better humanity. So that's some ideas.
Okay, and how would you say you keep yourself up to date in the new things that are rising in the medical field, or even like the study of biology in general?
Very good question. It's tough. Me being a family physician and taking care of all organs, all ages, makes it particularly more challenging. We have conferences, and we're required to keep up our board certification. We have to get a certain amount of continuing medical education. So it's, I think, at least 50, 75 hours per year of time spent learning, which I love. It's great. And then there's publications that come out, but when you're in family medicine, there's all kinds of different medical journals and everything else. You can't really read them all. So there are services that help kind of pick out and almost the Cliff Notes version of things, and then you can more look into what you need specifically for that time, that patient. That's right. There's lots of ways, lots of online tools. For instance, I mentioned earlier we had a journal club, and that we do once a month, where one of our partners picks a journal, an article or a couple of articles, and presents to everyone else, and that's a nice thing as well. One thing I would say is that medicine is moving so quickly that you really do want to be someone that likes to learn new things. If you go into the field of science or biology or medicine and you want it to be not changing and you don't have to evolve and think about things in a different way, it's not the place for you. So some exciting stuff you were asking about some recommendations for you guys. If you have any interest in the human genome and what's happening to that, every time you see anything in your studies, from Watson and Crick forward, and what has been gained by that, and the potential for gene splicing, that really is the future of medicine for the immunotherapy, genetic different manipulation for different populations, disease processes. So if you're somebody that wants to really, even for me, being out in practice, it'd be real easy to say, you know, I don't know about these new ways to treat diabetes where we're going to take and swap out some of the patient's DNA for someone else's DNA and correct some inborn errors. That's something it'd be real easy to get stuck and say, no, I don't understand that. You just got to keep on learning and, yes, evolving, because medicine is moving very fast. It's a very exciting time to be in science, actually.
Are there any things that you have recently learned that stick out to you or have become aware of?
Let's see. One of the things that I was mentioning is the so-called CRISPR technology that's going on to a huge degree. There's also been a lot of research on stem cells and what they can do, for instance, to regrow cartilage in a knee. So our seniors are living longer and longer because of science and biology background and all the research, but their joints are wearing out faster. So a lot of times we have to replace joints, so the surgeons replace joints on people, but it'd be nice to have other options. So learning how to take and regrow cartilage out of the patient's own cells is very exciting as well. Other things I've learned recently, there's so much I learn every day, because I learn from my patients and new experiences every day. But that's a great thing about medicine and family medicine, is really that you're learning all the time. You don't stop learning. If I had it my way, I would still be at UT and never have graduated, because that's some of the best times of your life. But at least when you get out and you're working and you're getting a paycheck, which is nice, you get to keep learning.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you for your time and answering a few questions.